Hi guys, it's Rebecca. So today I'm going to be doing the end of year book tag. So I got all of these questions from Leah over at Leah Crompton's video, and I'll leave that in the description so you can go and check that out as well if you want to watch it. So essentially this is just like a range of questions all about my reading year, and I'll just go through each question. So the first question is my most disappointing read, and for this one I'm going to go with The Outsider by Albert Camus. So I was really excited for this one because I really wanted to try some existentialist literature, because I have had this one for actually quite a while, and it was one of the ones that were like existentialist that I actually had on my physical TBR, especially because it's so short and I've been wanting to read something by Albert Camus for ages, so I thought this was just a really good one to start with. It's like quite a strange novel. It's very short, only like 100 pages, and it essentially follows a man who refuses to conform to society's rules and law. He makes some interesting friendships, and it's just a very strange narrative. The whole thing's like quite strange. It is interesting but definitely strange. I mean, I don't know what else I was expecting. I'm not sure maybe if the translation is also partially to do with it, but I don't know, it just really wasn't 100% for me. I think I gave this one about 3 stars. I just was expecting to be like a 5 basically, so I was very disappointed with this, but I'll definitely try more by Camus in the future. Like, I would like to read the Plague. I'll probably get the Plague at some point soon and try that one out, but yeah, I was just quite disappointed with this one, unfortunately. So the next one is what book was overhyped. So for this one I'm going to go for The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. Essentially this one is a retelling of the relationship between Achilles and Patroclus. It theorizes that they were actually in a relationship, a romantic relationship together. Apparently that is what could have happened, but it's just been like erased from history that was actually what was like meant to have happened in the myth. I just didn't enjoy this one. I'm not a fan of flowery writing, and that kind of whimsical flowery writing, it just honestly just to me is bad writing, because it's just these like metaphors that fall flat, that don't actually really make sense, similes that are there for the sake of it, metaphors there for the sake of it. There's just a lot of filler words, that beautiful words and beautiful sentences that don't actually need to be there. I mean, I don't know how many times that Achilles was described as golden or gold or whatever it was, and it's just like on constant repeat, and it's like you could take 200 pages off that book if you just cut out all of like the rubbish basically, and it was actually not good. I didn't enjoy it whatsoever. I mean, it partially could have been that I listened to it on audiobook. I wasn't the biggest fan of the narrator, so that could have been something to do with it, but I honestly just didn't think it was that well written. I think maybe I would have actually enjoyed that book if it had been written by a completely different author. I think that the story had like a lot of potential and it was interesting, but just the actually way it was written, it just completely just like fell flat for me, and unfortunately I just really did not enjoy it one bit. So the next question is favourite couple of the year, and everybody's probably going to laugh at me for this, but I have chosen Violet and Xaden from Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Yes, this book is not the most like amazing piece of literature ever to be written, but I loved every single second of reading this. It really made me feel like I loved reading again, and I love a book that gives me that feeling no matter how well written or not it is. This is obviously a really popular book, and I know Violet and Xaden are a very popular couple. Don't tell me anything in the comments because I haven't actually read Iron Flame yet. I'm actually currently reading it. I've just started it, so I don't know anything that happens in that, but in Fourth Wing, Violet and Xaden, I absolutely loved them. I loved Xaden so much. I love Enemies to Lovers. It is just amazing. I loved every second of it, and I definitely have to say Violet and Xaden for this one. So the next question is favourite characters of the year, and I am 100% going to go with the characters from The Secret History by Donna Tartt. All of these characters just live within my mind ever since I've read this. I think about them on most days, and I just think that they are absolutely phenomenal. Particularly Richard Papin, who is the main character that is in his first person point of view, and he's such an interesting narrator and such an interesting character. A lot of people have said, is Richard an unreliable narrator? Obviously we get the whole entire story from his point of view, his desperation to fit in, his desperation for aestheticism, so that does cloud his narration. He's such an interesting character, and Henry Winter as well is another such an interesting morally grey character. He is absolutely amazing. He is a caricature of aestheticism, and he's just absolutely amazing, and I think about this all the time. You know what, I even think about Julian and that is really saying something. I really enjoyed this book. I just think it's absolutely amazing. If you haven't read it, you need to go and read it. So the next question is a book that surprised you, and I'm going to go with Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney. I had actually never read a Sally Rooney book before, but I decided to read it on audiobook because I had a few credits, so I thought I might as well use a credit up on a book that I'm probably not going to get physically. I really enjoyed Conversations with Friends. I know it's one of those like hate or love. Actually, to be honest, a lot of people have said that they just find this one okay, and a lot of people obviously prefer Normal People, but I really enjoyed this one. I am a massive fan of character driven novels. I actually thought it was so well written. I nearly cried at the end. I just think it's so good. At the end, I actually was speechless at how well written the end was. Like, she's just so good. Her ability to just have a story flow so well, I was so impressed by it. It is better than I thought, just because of all of the different opinions that people have on Sally Rooney. I didn't go in with very high expectations, so maybe that is part of why I ended up enjoying it, because I didn't have any expectations. In fact, I had like low expectations. I was just really surprised by this one. And just to give a quick synopsis as well, basically it's a story about a writer who goes to Trinity College Dublin, and she ends up meeting this woman called Melissa, who's going to help her with her writing, and she meets her through writing, but essentially she ends up having an affair with Melissa's husband Nick, and it's just the story of that and how all of that unfolds. And I just loved it. I thought it's definitely a character driven novel, so I wouldn't go into it for the plot, but definitely a surprise, and a really good surprise as well. So the next question is new favourite author. I am going to have to go with Donna Tartt for this one. I haven't read anything more by Donna Tartt because I'm scared, because I don't want it to be over. I know she has, I think it's called My Little Friend or A Little Friend. I don't have that one, but I do have The Goldfinch, which I really want to read, but I'm just too scared to read it because I just don't want to have read all of her books. But definitely my new favourite author, just because of how much I think about this. It's absolutely amazing, and yeah, I love her so much. So the next question is the happiest book that you read this year, and for this one I'm going to go with The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary. I had never read anything by Beth O'Leary before, but I really enjoyed this one. I'd actually had this one on my physical TBR for literally years. I don't even know how long I had this for, but I saw it on my TBR and I decided to bring it along with me to Santorini in Greece. So I read this one by the pool in May for my holiday. That was like my summer holiday, and I read it by the pool and I absolutely loved it. It reminds me of like being on holiday, and it was just a really nice book. It's really fun romance. There's not like too much, it's not like too spicy or whatever. I'm not the biggest fan of that. Like, I don't like loads of that. I like just it to be a romance and it just to be kind of cute. So I really enjoyed that, and it was actually quite refreshing not to have like loads of spice or whatever. I'm just not the biggest fan of it. I don't think it's necessary to be there. I know other people enjoy it, but it's not necessarily for me. So I really appreciated that. It's basically about this girl who really needs some more money. So she decides to opt into a flat share after breaking up with her boyfriend, and she finds this like advert online of this guy who's renting out his apartment because he does night shifts. So basically the premise is that he can sleep in the bed during the day and she sleeps there in the night whenever he's out. So like they don't really see each other, but they start leaving little notes around the flat, and they start like cooking for each other and like leaving food out, and it's just like a romance that goes from there. And it was just a really nice surprise as well. It was a really nice happy book, and I really enjoyed it. So the next question is the best adaptation of the year, and 100% I'm going to say The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I absolutely loved it. I know this is 100% an unpopular opinion, but I personally thought it was better than the book. I thought it was absolutely amazing, and it was in my head for days, and the music was just absolutely amazing. I think that was part of it, like seeing the music come to life, and I just absolutely loved it. I loved every single second of watching it. The characters were just so amazing, and if you haven't watched it or read it, you 100% have to. They 100% took their time with it. They developed everything. They developed the plot, the characters. The arena was literally taken right out of my mind and like put on the screen. I've never had that experience before. I just loved it. I literally loved every second of it. So I'm just so glad that they made that movie. I really want to watch it again. Like, it was so good. So the next question is the shortest book you read, and that would have to be, again, The Outsider. This again is only 100 pages. I obviously already talked about this one, but definitely the shortest book that I've read this year. So the next question is favourite cover of the year, and I'm going to have to go with The Marriage Portrait by Maggie O'Farrell. I'm kind of cheating with this one actually, because I got this last Christmas, but I did finish it in the new year, so I guess it counts because I read it, or at least finished it in the new year. So I'm gonna go with The Marriage Portrait. I just think this book is absolutely beautiful. This is the Waterstones exclusive edition, to be fair, but it is just so beautiful. The cover is just absolutely stunning. I love it with all of my heart, and it's just like one of those books that I literally will keep forever because it's so beautiful. I just absolutely love it, and 100% gonna say the marriage portrait for this one. I just realised I missed a question, and that is the longest book that you read, and that is A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J Maas. This is just under 700 pages, so it is an absolutely massive book. I absolutely love this one, and definitely the longest one on my list. So the next question is a book that you haven't been able to stop thinking about, and everybody's going to be bored because I'm going to say The Secret History, because I genuinely think about this every single day. I love it so much. Donna Tartt is just a genius. I love it so much. So the next question is the crunchiest book that you read, and 100% I'm gonna go with Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. This was like weirdly enjoyable, but 100% so cringe and terribly written. Like, it was so bad. I did have like some enjoyment, but it was also kind of so boring. For something that's meant to be a fun romance, it was so boring in parts. Like, some parts I was like, yeah, it's fine. Some parts I was like, please let this end. Like, this literally can't be going on this long. The part where she fell into the ice, so embarrassing. Why would you put her into a hot shower right after? Like, do you want to actually kill her? Somebody falls onto the ice and you put them directly into a hot shower? Like, I don't know. But to me, like, somebody can like correct me, but like, I'm pretty sure that's like a terrible idea. It was just so bad. I don't know how it's so popular. Honestly, it's just really not that good of a book at all, and it's just such a cringy book. So the next question is an unpopular book you love, and I'm going to go with Conversations with Friends again for this one, because I honestly just don't really know if I've read that many like unpopular books. And yeah, I'm going to go with Conversation with Friends because I hear such mixed reviews about this one. So considering I actually gave it 4 stars and I really enjoyed it, I would definitely say I love this book considering it is kind of unpopular. So the next question is, what is the highest and lowest rated book on Goodreads, and would you agree? So actually the highest rated book that I read was Achilles. It has a rating of 4.64, and that is literally so high. It's higher than Fourth Wing. But yeah, I would 100% agree considering I gave it 5 stars, so definitely agree with this one. And then the lowest rated was The Death of the Heart by Elizabeth Bowen with a rating of 3.65. I definitely would agree with this one. I did give it 3 stars. It's basically a coming of age book about a girl who moves in with her extended family, and she starts to make close friendships and relationships for what is pretty much the first time. I just found it like quite boring. It's definitely character driven, which I thought was going to be my kind of thing, but it was a lot more boring than I was hoping it was going to be. So I definitely do think that 3.65 is a decent rating considering I did rate it 3. So the next question is favourite quote of the year, and I'm going to go with the opening lines of The Secret History. I'll just read it out so that I don't get it wrong, but I've pretty much memorised this. Does such a thing as the fatal flaw, that showy dark crack running down the middle of a life, exist outside literature? I used to think it didn't. Now I think it does. And I think that mine is this: a morbid longing for the picturesque at all costs. I just think that's absolutely amazing. There are a lot of quotes out of The Secret History that I love, but I will definitely have to say that that is one of my favourite opening lines of all time, and I don't know if I've kind of cheated with choosing an opening line, but I do think that it's just so good that I just had to choose it. So the next question is a book with the most unique concept, and I'm going to go with The Marriage Portrait by Maggie O'Farrell for this one. So this one is set in the 1500s and it follows Lucrezia, the Duchess of Ferrara, and this is a historical fiction, and Lucrezia was genuinely a duchess, but she's often not written about. There's a whole letter at the end of the book by Maggie O'Farrell where she explains why she wrote it and how she came up with the idea and all of the research that she did, but it's really interesting because it's believed that the Duchess of Ferrara was murdered by her husband. It's just essentially being erased from history, so Maggie O'Farrell thought that she would just bring Lucrezia's story back to life because a lot of people just don't know that she exists. So definitely think this is a very unique concept. So the next question is a book you would reread. I feel like I'm just saying the same thing over and over again, but I'm going to go with The Secret History and Achilles. Secret History, I've already said before, I really want to reread this one because it's literally so good. I only read it a couple of months ago, but I'm already just dying to reread it. And then just because it's just so well written and it's just so interesting, I think it's going to be even better the second time around. And then Akamath, I would say, because now that I've read Akawar, I really feel like I've just really gotten to know all of the characters, and I feel like I would go back and read Akatar and Akamath just because now that I love Rhysand and I've really got to know Feyre and her sisters and everything, I just think it's going to make a reread so much better. That's the reason I would just like to relive those books already knowing the characters, because it did get me some time to actually start loving the characters, so it'd be really interesting to go back and read it knowing that I already love them. So I'm going to amalgamate the last two questions because that is my 2024 reading goals and what I want to prioritise in 2024. So I definitely would say that I would like to prioritise reading more classics this year. I have a lot of classics on my physical TBR and I would like to get through some of those, and I would also like to just continue to read on my commute home back and forth from work, because I've noticed that that just gets me a lot of reading in. A lot of times I'm just like too tired in the morning to read and I would always like put it off, but I've been really enjoying it and I definitely want to continue doing that. I don't have like a specific number of like for a reading goal in mind. I don't really do Goodreads reading goals because I don't actually read that many books. Like in like terms of quantity, I don't read that many books. I'm not going to put a number. That's why I try to like amalgamate these two questions because they're pretty much the same for me. I'm not going to put a number, but I definitely want to just keep reading classics, read more books by classic authors I already love. Like I want to read more by Elizabeth Gaskell, more by Dickens. I definitely want to read another long Dickens book. I want to read Our Mutual Friend because I have that one. It's about 1,000 pages. I want to read that. I want to do more rereads as well. I want to reread all Wuthering Heights and Jane Eyre and a lot of my favourite classics, and reread The Secret History and just kind of get to know those books all over again. This is actually getting a long list, but I think specifically in terms of classics, I want to read the rest of the Bronte books that I haven't read. There's quite a few books by Charlotte that I have left to read. I've read all of Anne's 2 books and Emily's book, and I've read Jane Eyre, but I need to read the rest of Charlotte's books. Okay, so my camera overheated, but essentially I was just rambling on about my 2024 goals, so I think I pretty much finished what I was going to say. I just thought I might as well end the video here. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have made a end of the year reading tag video. I would love to watch it. Let me know what your 2024 reading goals are as well. I'd love to hear them. Let me know as well what your favourite book this year was. That would be really interesting to hear. So thank you so much for watching again. If you did enjoy this video, then I would really appreciate if you could give it a thumbs up and subscribe, because it really supports my channel. So thank you so much for watching again, and I will see you in the next one.